Attorney General Merrick Garland announcing his department is suing the state to stop the Republican-led voting rights bill. Georgia may only be the first of several states that the DOJ is targeting.
What did Georgia say? Well, okay, we need to do something so that that doesn't happen again. Voters shouldn't feel like it doesn't matter. That's not a good thing for our country, for our democratic republic to survive. People have to have faith in the basic institutions.
Here is what Georgia put in place in their law. A prohibition on government entities mailing unsolicited absentee ballot applications, modification of the identification requirements because you actually have to now show voter ID, and timeframes for applying for these absentee ballots, regulating the use of the ballot drop box. So look at that and tell me, why is any of that unconstitutional?
This actually adds an additional Saturday where people can vote statewide in Georgia. It gives the potential for 2 additional Sundays that every county in the state can opt in to holding early voting on.
This is a federal power grab, Jay, and that's nothing short of that. The Constitution of the United States, we know, gives the time, place, manner, and method of electing to the states.
The Department of Justice is simply playing politics. They are not upholding the rule of law. And this blatantly political action taken by the United States Department of Justice is factually, legally, and constitutionally wrong.
A clear reading of that statutory provision provides Georgia with sufficient constitutional authority to do what precisely they have done. However, we should also keep in mind that the Democrats, by and large, increasingly do not believe in the Constitution.
They said, you know what, we're not going to just mail out absentee ballots. You just request it, you're going to get it, but you have to request it. To me, that is just fundamental fairness.
We do represent a nurse. She was met by the surgeon who knew of her objection, who said, don't hate me. And then she had to participate in what is, again, as it stands now, a legal killing under U.S. law of an innocent human being.
This nurse did not want to file a civil lawsuit. We talked to her about that as an option. She didn't want to put her family through the anxiety and the rigors of what a civil lawsuit entails, especially when we were able to tell her there was now something called the Conscience and Religious Freedom Division, which would take her case and vindicate her rights against the University of Vermont.
She filed a complaint with what was the newly formed at the time Conscience and Religious Freedom Division that was formed by the Trump administration, the HHS Office of Civil Rights.
Her rights also were legally transgressed on, but that is not just a legal issue, that is a moral issue too, and there needs to be recourse, there needs to be right of action to protect people like this, because the legal issue and the morality of this abortion and of forcing people to perform abortions are inseparably connected.
If a decades-old statute was violated, and if this nurse's fundamental rights were violated, as they clearly were in this case, it is their duty, Jordan, to enforce that law.
What the Supreme Court had done in Roe v. Wade legalized abortion in the United States. But it was understood by people of goodwill on both sides that there were deeply held religious beliefs by millions of Americans against participating in this. And what they tried to do was to make it legally impossible for employers to force pro-life healthcare workers to have to violate their consciences. We had the government finally putting teeth in that amendment. Not exactly a shock. As of this week, that's over with.
They don't believe that those rights should be protected. I mean, that's the bottom line. That's what the Department of Justice is saying. That is the outrage part of this. Filing the lawsuit against Prince William County, a county in Northern Virginia, blocking our client, a live church, from worshiping and functioning, being able to utilize the land that they purchased, because the church, get this, cannot get an ABC license.
When the governor allowed, with certain guidelines, to reopen again in May for those ready to rejoin worshiping in public, we said to ourselves, man, could we just build one of these farm-like structures that wineries and breweries are building, because it's completely void of the red tape.
The church function of events and things like that, with the county, so we're not a problem with that. But to qualify as the same as any of these other enterprises, you have to obtain an ABC license, which is the liquor license. You cannot put the church in a situation where they are being treated unequally. That violates the Constitution.
We simply went to the zoning administrator and said, Why can't we do that? You've removed all the red tape for them, but for churches, you put up in place this huge amount of red tape, this special use permit, by the way, which we have. And we said, can we just build a venue like that? And when I asked the question, she looked right in my eye and said, go get your ABC license. And it was like, wow, we're a church.
The church is being forced to confront a Hobbesian choice. Either we become basically an alcohol establishment, or we can operate as a church, but with an alcohol license, or we have to shut down.
All the church wanted to be was treated equally.
The county dared them, ultimately dared them to file a lawsuit. Well, Dare accepted, lawsuit being filed.
Over 203,000 migrants crossed the southern border in July. If this trend continues, 2021 will break the record for most illegal crossings going back 60 years.
The Biden administration's new idea is to provide taxpayer-funded attorneys, so federal government attorneys, to these illegal immigrants in their removal proceedings.
The idea that you would now throw government lawyers down to Texas to be involved in these proceedings is nonsensical.
It's not like they're trying to figure out the root causes. They know what it is. They're ignoring it for a reason. All of those people are potential Democratic voters, and there's a reason that they're not doing what they need to stop it, because they want to institute a permanent Democratic majority voting base.
There are 1.3 million immigration cases on backlog in the court system. So exactly what are these lawyers going to do? And are they going to put these people just now crossing ahead of other people? We know they're putting them ahead of many people who go through the process in a legal way.
There is no end in sight right now, unless you go back to the policies that worked under the last administration. The Remain in Mexico was the humane way to do things, because it fast-tracked those that had real asylum claims, and at the same time, it discouraged all the people that are coming across right now, finding those loopholes in our immigration system.
The people that this is hurting are those who are trying to do this the right way. The people who are trying to seek asylum, those who are trying to seek a better life in the United States. Jay, those are the very first people that these bad policies are hurting.
Who are these lawyers? And what proceedings are they doing where all these lawyers are needed? But this is the problem when you have a policy in place that does not work. And folks, clearly it does not work.